Well, cool. Let's get started since I've already started.
Yeah, right. Again, right in the center of stuff.
Welcome back to the Wreak Havoc Film Buffs podcast. We have been on a hiatus because of life and stuff. So we appreciate anybody that's the four of you that's coming back to watch this, unless we lost all four of you in the hiatus. And if that case, we're going to start our viewership all over again. So
we can do it.
We can do it. You can do it. I am one of your co-hosts, Mr. Sammie Castle, and I will let everybody introduce themselves, starting with the young lady in the right-hand corner of my screen.
Hey, I'm Sis.
You got to work on an introduction. You got to add.
Why? What's wrong with "Hey, I'm Sis"?
I'm good with it. How about you sexy thing?
Yeah. Oh.
I'm gonna do my glamour shot pose.
You got to have some kind of like denim jacket on and poofed up hair and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Are you going to introduce yourself?
Got an afro wig. Yeah, my name is Chad Hunt.
Yeah. Are you?
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to meet you, sir.
It is.
We're so descriptive.
Maybe not by the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Talk about this movie.
I am working on 3 hours of sleep in the last 36 hours. So yeah, I'm a little.
Way this night's going, I'll be working on about that much.
Well, don't neither one of y'all sleep anyway. So what does it matter?
Some of us might get an hour here or there.
Yeah, an hour.
We're keeping you up. You ain't had a shower or nothing yet.
I showered this morning.
So did I. Well, it actually was late this morning because by the time we got off the plane. Although it was interesting.
I only get one a day, so I have to make it count.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Can't get dirty the rest of the day.
We flew on a red eye back from Vegas last night, and anybody who watches either of these two episodes will figure out we record them in the same night. But we were. I always go to the bathroom right before I get on the plane, so I don't have to. I have the bladder the size of an 8-year-old girl anymore. So I don't want to have to go right as I get on the plane. So I went to the bathroom and I turned around at the sink, and standing beside of me is Malachi Black, the AEW wrestler. And they wrestled in Las Vegas last night for their big pay-per-view. But that show goes kind of late. I didn't expect anybody to be on the red eye to go anywhere. And it ended up being Malachi Black, Christian, Stokely Hathaway, Matt Taven, and Mike Posey, one of the referees, were all on our flight last night. So I have a group text with Nick and Adriana. And I was like, oh my God, these guys are on the plane with us. And Adriana's just going, that's a dream flight. That would be wonderful. And I'm like, it's not. I didn't bother any of them. I fist bumped Christian and just said, hey, I'm a big fan. And he said, he actually didn't say anything, but he did fist bump me. He didn't hit me, which is a good thing. But it was kind of cool. Yeah, Matt Taven was like 2 seats from me, snoring like a big dog on the plane. So there's my adventures for the night. That's what have you been up to?
Rescuing animals.
Oh, tell about your animal rescue for the day.
We had a baby possum rescue.
I thought his eyes were just bugged out. I didn't realize his eye was popped out.
Yeah. So apparently a mama possum has decided that under my house is a good place to have some babies. And the babies are now venturing off of mama and are venturing into the dog wise. My dog is not happy. So she let me know that she had something, and it happened to be a baby possum. So she did not kill it. She did harm it though. And so Lily and I drove an hour and a half to a rescue center for wildlife. Dropped her with a nice lady named Tanya. And they said he'll probably lose his eye, but as far as they know, he is fine otherwise. And Lily named him Ozzy. So
he was riding down the road, hollering, "I'm riding on the crazy train."
He probably thought he was because I was rushing.
He looks more like an Opie.
I forgot what she had. She had a second name picked out for him, but I forgot what it was.
I mean, Ozzy's
But she named him Ozzy. So he's going to be in the rescue center until he's old enough to actually fend for himself and his eye gets taken care of.
Oh, that's nice.
So
his vet
we'll
is
see
Mr.
him.
Crowley.
I don't know who the vet's going to be, but
I'm just doing Ozzy puns now.
great. See what I started?
Yeah, it's getting late. Mr. Crowley, won't you push my back in? Chad.
Fucking sleep, Chad.
Chad, what you been up to, dude?
Not a whole lot. I haven't rescued any crazy animal stories or anything like that. So I don't know. Nothing really. Watching movies for podcasts.
Okay. That's what you're spending all your time doing. Have you watched anything, not to spoil anything, but have you watched anything this year that has really been like, oh man, that's been the movie of the year so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you about them?
Yes. I don't need a whole description. I just what are some of the movies?
I watched a movie called Late Night with the Devil.
Best date ever.
That is such a good movie, and a lot of people are hating on it, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was a late night talk show, Johnny Carson style, found footage kind of movie, but it supposedly one of the last episodes of this show that came on, and he had a girl on supposedly possessed by the devil, and all these weird things are happening throughout the show, and it was just a good movie. I liked it a lot. And so yeah, I watched a lot of good stuff here lately.
I agree. That movie is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with the company that I had that night.
Okay.
I have tried to egg you on to tell everybody that you and I went and watched this movie together, and you're just not buying it, are you?
No.
Okay. Oh, never mind then. Is that it? Late Night with the Devil? Anything else? Reading a good. What are you reading comic book wise right now?
Absolutely nothing.
Really?
Yeah, I'm so disillusioned with comic books right now. I can't.
Yeah.
I read a lot of the older stuff. I read a lot of the old. I'll go back and I'll start with the Fantastic Four #1 and read up to now. I'll do that every once in a while. Hulk. I'll do that every once in a while. But
yeah, I'm not real pleased. Once Al Ewing got off of Hulk, I'm not feeling this newest run. It's weird.
Yeah, they take Hulk in a lot of different. All I want to see is Hulk smashing stuff.
Yeah.
Smashing bad guys. I don't care. I don't care about. Oh, when he was 5 years old, he saw his father kill his mother, and it split his personality into 50 different places. And now there's this kind of Hulk and that kind of Hulk, and there's a toilet Hulk. There's Wendy's Hulk, there's Burger King Hulk. There's all kinds of different Hulks, and
split his mind into 3 different things, and it's hard to follow.
Yeah, I don't. I'm a simple dude, man. Just give me Hulk smash, and
I'm a big X-Men fan, and I've been reading X-Men since the '90s, and Jonathan Hickman was running that whole division for a pretty good while, and it got to be too much. So now that Hickman's gone, they're trying to rebuild it, and to rebuild it, they have to destroy pretty much everything Hickman did. And they're struggling. Some of them are okay, but a lot of those books are struggling. I don't know. I think I'm going to lay a lot of the blame on the creators. There's just not a lot of good comic book creators anymore. The art is very generic, and
everything looks like a coloring book.
Yep, computerized, and the
right, sissy.
Do what?
I said right.
A coloring book? Yes.
She likes.
I agree. But I got a cool book this weekend, so I can't say anything. I got an old comic book thing this weekend. It's hardback. It's really cool. I'd go get it for you, but then that means I'd have to get up.
No, but I'm.
It's a comic book or a coloring book?
It is. It's a hardback. It's a collection of comics.
Oh,
Wait,
cool.
is it
Smithsonian or something?
Is it like all the comics, the covers and everything bound?
I don't know. I haven't really looked through it. I seen the cover and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool," and it's an old book.
So back in the
You want me
old
to go
days,
get it?
no,
Yeah,
no,
go get it. Go get it.
go get it. Okay, go get it. Sure.
I got to see this.
So John, who I buy my books from, has some of the Kirby bound books that they, all those guys, Marvel, whoever they work for, if they asked for it, they would give them a bound set.
Yeah.
And he has some of the Kirby books, and he has some of the Eisner books.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are their personal copies. And somebody else's, maybe Al Williamson. But that stuff's, impossible to find. Because it's a personal collection. So unless they're family.
Very cool.
Right?
Who's the characters on the front?
You have got Superman, Toby. I don't know who that is.
Toby.
Yep. I know Toby.
Anyway, so it's edited by Michael Barrier and Martin Williams.
It looks pretty old.
But it's a Smithsonian book of comic books.
Oh,
that's got to be from the 70s.
Yeah.
It's just got the comics printed on the inside.
Very nice looking comics too.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's cool.
It's reprints of the original copies.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. Did you find that
Got
yard
Donald
sale?
Duck, of course.
Find that yard sale this weekend?
Of course.
She was in high heaven.
I was.
Okay, so did we catch everybody up? We all talked about
1981. That's when it was
81.
copyrighted.
That made sense. Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. So
That's
Very
pretty
cool. I like that.
I have to look at that next time I'm up. Okay, so we're here to talk about a movie that Chad suggested called Unfrosted. This month was it put out?
I think so.
Yeah, just a
Think
couple
so.
weeks old.
Yeah.
One of those Netflix original kind of deals.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld joint.
Yep. I don't know. Has he directed much stuff?
He's starting to come out and do like more stand up and directing and writing again. So
he
I don't
did
know.
direct this one, directed and produced and wrote. He was one of the writers too.
I figured he wrote most of it, but I don't know if he's directed much stuff. Do you? I don't know if he directed episodes of Seinfeld or not. Anyway, Chad, you want to do a brief synopsis of what this movie's about?
Sure. This is a story about Kellogg's and Post cereals and it's a fictionalized account of how they invented the Pop-Tart, how the Pop-Tart came about. And it's just a silly, satirical things. It's so, and a lot of the jokes are just so dumb. I just thought it was hilarious. I just thought it was hilarious. They get they're trying to figure out how to market the Pop-Tart, what the name's going to be, and how they did all this stuff is just ridiculous. And I can't, like we said before, I can't believe Kellogg's and Post signed off on even doing this movie, because it's just beyond silly, and it burns both companies. It just burns them to the ground when it comes to the satire and everything. But yeah, so it's that, and it's not going to win any awards or anything like that, but I just thought it was a funny movie. If you like
Razzies for acting.
And it's not Jerry Seinfeld like Seinfeld comedy was. This is more, if you've ever watched his movie, a Bee movie that he's in, where he plays the bee, it's an animated movie. It's more along that line of humor. And so it's, I thought it was funny, and I know a lot of people won't dig it, but I did. I thought it was funny.
You know, when you suggested this one, I was like, oh, I've heard of this, and I knew that it had been out, but I hadn't heard. Like, if something comes out on Netflix or Hulu or something that gets a big buzz, you know, everybody's talking about it for a while. Well, nobody was talking about this, even though it's got some of the biggest names in comedy in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was
Melissa McCartney's in it. What's the bald guy? His name? I can't remember. Tom something. I can't remember his name, but yeah, there's a ton of comedians in it, and people that you know from other things. Yeah, Cedric the Entertainer's in it for a little bit. Yeah, so
yeah, when I saw when you suggested, I was like, okay, I'll give it a try, because I'd heard it was bad. And then I looked at it and I went, ugh, Jerry Seinfeld and Melissa McCarthy and Fred Armstead and
Amy Schumer.
And I was like, these are, if you added, the only way you could make this any worse for me is to add Will Ferrell to it. That is like the list of my least favorite comedians.
Oh, man.
And I was like, this is just, I'm going to watch it because Chad suggested it, and it can't be any worse than some of the crap Dan made me watch when we were doing this podcast. And then I found myself laughing some, and I was like, okay. I mean, I was afraid it was going to be very Seinfeld-esque, you know, what does this mean? You know, that kind of stuff. And I hate it. And I don't find Melissa McCarthy funny at all. But I laughed out loud at a lot of this stuff. It was just silly, and I kind of got into the fun of it and the funny of it, and just kind of let it go and just didn't look too much into it. So
yeah, it's you got to turn your brain off for a little bit to enjoy it.
Sis, what do you think about it?
There were certain parts that were funny. I'll get that. I really liked the fact that they brought all the characters out that Post and Kellogg's have used. That was funny. I think my favorite was the Snap Crackle Pop.
Yeah,
those guys cracked me up, and the milk guys. I don't know why, but the milk guys really were funny.
Oh,
Christian Slater is the milk guy.
And Peter Dinklage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you know, when they brought the three of them, and then they met the main boss and the cow, and they made them walk down the
walk of shame or whatever.
Oh, the one that killed me was Hugh Grant as Tony the Tiger.
Yeah,
that was so funny, and he deadpanned that so much and played it so straight. I'm a
Uh-huh.
strange Shakespearean actor, and I'm doing King Lear next door tonight. You know, that kind of stuff. I was
Yeah.
dying laughing.
They were trying to figure out a way how to market the Pop-Tart, which they hadn't named yet. So they bring in all these experts, and the experts are Chef Boyardee,
Yes.
Carvel.
Tom Carvel. If you guys don't know,
Man,
the Schwinn guy that makes bikes, to try and get them all to come up with some kind of plan to market these things. They have nothing to do with Pop-Tarts. They got all these experts in there.
And the German guy who created sea monkeys that may have been a Nazi.
Right.
Yes.
That was, to me, that's just, I was dying laughing, especially when Chef Boyardee and the German guy were
Combine the
figuring
sea
stuff out. They created the sea monkey
ravioli.
Sea monkey ravioli.
Which becomes sentient, which was kind of stupid to me.
Yeah.
That was probably the stupidest part of the movie.
We accidentally created a sentient being.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out a name for a Pop-Tart.
I was so happy when the freaking sea monkeys became alive.
And then the German guy and Chef Boyardee sort of became a couple.
Yeah.
And the oh, he's only my son when he's doing something bad. Yeah. Talking about this sea monkey.
A teenage sea monkey ravioli.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. I just liked it.
That was how silly this was. And Jack LaLanne and not wearing any underwear.
Oh yeah.
Everybody likes a good dick joke. So he's the computer saying he's free balling.
He's free balling. But it was just, and it wasn't as so much of a story as it was a bunch of set pieces.
Yeah, it was very much a throwback to Kentucky Fried Movie or what was that? Some of that other 80s schlock kind of stuff.
Yeah, Kentucky Fried Movie. It just had all these different set pieces, and it wasn't exactly a straightforward narrative. I mean, it's just like a bunch of skits pushed together. Like they did a satire of Snap, Crackle, and Pop, the mascot characters doing a invasion of the Capitol building, satire of that, and
with Tony the Tiger with the freaking horns.
Horns,
the horns, with the horns,
and but yeah, stuff like that. It was just, it's like skits and set pieces thrown together to sort of make this loose narrative, of them trying to come up with a invention of the Pop-Tart.
So I read very little bit about this because I was on a plane. I really didn't have time. But there was actually a book called Unfrosted, the story of the Pop-Tart. How close do we know how close this was to the actual story? Obviously, it was a very.
I don't think it had anything to do with this.
But I mean, is Kellogg's and Post in the same city in Battle Creek? Is that kind of stuff true? Or
I'm not sure. I don't know for sure. I'm not that much into cereal that I know that kind of stuff. But
it's
you know what? I've always wondered. What's the deal with Post and Kellogg's? Are they in the same city or what?
Yeah. Well, to me, the funniest part of it is that the real masterminds to this whole movie and both the franchises are these two kids who are dumpster diving
kids. That little girl, man, had me dying.
She was funny.
She was funny as hell.
And that was what made the movie too, is that it had so many adult puns in it, but yet the kids are not going to catch it because they're too busy watching the characters. Right. It was just so, I
think the kids should be watching this movie.
I don't think a kid's going to get half of what's being said as an adult part because they're going to be so focused on those characters and trying to figure out what in the world. And then they're going to be laughing when Amy Schumer's Mrs. Post is her character. hits the snot out of her buddy there. What's his name?
Her
He
assistant.
does the neighborhood. Max Green is it Greenfield? That's her assistant there, and she just turns around out of nowhere and just smacks the snot right at him.
I mean, it comes out of nowhere because they're talking about writing a letter, and she's like, "Oh, I'll take care of it." He says, what are we going to do? Just write a letter to somebody? She's like, "Oh, I'll take care of it." And she puts her hands on the keyboard. And the next thing you see is her hitting him with a typewriter.
The kids are going to find that funny, so they're not going to be paying attention to anything else. And then they're going to try to figure out what these characters are going to do next because the characters are crazy in their daggum selves. It's like a kid, When I paid, it's funny. I mean, certain parts were funny, and I died laughing at a couple of them, but other ones I was just like, "What the snot?"
When the Schwinn guy was doing and blew up.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts.
That was so hilarious. And then at the funeral, they lower his casket in.
That was my other one.
And all the snap, crackle, and pop, they're filling the hole in the ground up with milk.
And the folding of the flag thing there.
Yeah, and the cereal.
Because I was like his widow, because she's like, "What is happening here?"
Her husband didn't even eat cereal.
Yeah, what the hell is going on?
That's what I was saying. Like, what the shit? Mm-hmm. And then but I think that they should have left some of the bloopers in there when they were filming, because it would have been funny, like the blow up scene. Okay, so in one of the bloopers, the sandbag scene falls down, and you hear Melissa McCarthy say, "Oh shit," or something like that.
Yeah.
That would have been funny as hell to leave that in there when the explosion happened instead of taking it out. That would have been funnier than it already was.
Yeah, I forgot about the bloopers. They had a blooper reel at the end.
Oh my gosh,
we haven't seen it in a while.
The bloopers were funnier than the movie, most of them.
That's a 80s sticky kind of comedy thing too. Was they would show Police Academy. They would show bloopers over the credits.
Yeah, Smokey the Bandit.
And that's great because most of the bloopers are most of the time funnier than what the actual movie is.
Mm-hmm.
I liked a lot of the subtle stuff that wasn't like jokey. It was not written as a joke, but it was just kind of a sly little ha-ha, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Toucan Sam that was a crooner. Some of the side characters that just kind of popped in. Her hitting him with the typewriter. It's just kind of this here kind of not a joke per se, just kind of an off-kilter kind of thing that they did that was really funny.
It's like in The Invasion when you see Gumby up there climbing.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Them climbing the side of the freaking building. All these mascots climbing the side of the building.
Yeah, that was funny because it's kind of like a reference to Spider-Man, but at the same time you're doing that was kind of funny. But
I mean it's just a bunch of jokes thrown together. It would be
funny skit comedy.
Yeah, it's not greatly acted. Everybody is just a version of themselves. Out of all of those, my favorite is Jim Gaffigan.
That's him, Jim Gaffigan. That's what I was trying to think of.
Who plays Mr. Kellogg, and he's playing Jim Gaffigan. So it's kind of easy to do that. I started to say he had a whole bit about Pop-Tarts, but his was about Hot Pockets. So it's kind of close.
Yeah.
He has a whole bit about Hot Pockets and the toasters and stuff. So and some of the little side bit characters like Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It was just, my home life is terrible. I'm just going to stay here for the night. I'm going to work late, guys. And
Kellogg's stock rose 53% yesterday, and not sort of like my life at home. It's gone down 53%. It's terrible. It just goes on and on.
And the fact that he was playing with silly putty, and that's how he got the name backwards.
Yeah.
They went through this whole thing about calling it Tart Pops.
Yeah,
Tart Pops. And he used silly putty off the newspaper and read it backwards to Pop Tarts.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, well, that's kind of catchy.
Yeah.
And some of those names for both of those were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I can only imagine ad agencies doing that stuff, and they've got a list of they talk. There's a famous story about when Steve Austin went to WWE. They gave him a list of character names, and one of them was like Ice McFreezy and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's like, nope. So these marketing guys get together and just. They're like, oh, here's all these names. God, that's terrible. So it's funny that Walter Cronkite reading it backwards actually came up with the. And now I'm almost curious to see. History Channel does a series, foods that built America or something like that, and they did a one about cereal. And I will have to. I don't think I've watched it, but I'll have to go back and watch it and see what it. See if any of this is even remotely close to.
If I don't know if you guys remember Country Squares.
I didn't.
That Post put out. I remember him as being a tiny little kid, and that part is true. When Kellogg's found out Post was working on something like that, they did try to copy and go into production with something of their own. But I think that's about the end of the. I don't know if that's the end of the similarities, but.
Well, that's like the kids when they're in the dumpster, when they get kicked out of the Post dumpsters, they go over to the Kellogg dumpster, and they put the Rice Krispie treats together.
Yeah,
a reference to those, but it never,
Yeah,
and the fact that Jerry Seinfeld's kind of like eating out of the trash bins with these kids.
Yeah.
What are those kids in there doing? He goes, they're eating green stuff.
Yeah.
Green slime or something, he said.
Red slime. Because it's strawberry filling.
That's right.
They're
red slime.
Fruity gel or something. Fruit gel or they call it something.
Because it all tastes the same. It's just different colors.
Colors, yeah.
Yeah. When they're trying to get Fred Armstead to pass it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, these are pretty good.
Yeah.
It was funny. It's not for everybody. But it's. Right. I just thought it was a cute movie.
And too, where they keep messing. And I know Sammie doesn't like Melissa McCarthy, but I'm sorry. I thought she was funny because they kept calling her name was Stan in there, and they kept saying guys, and she's like, I'm not a guy. Never mind.
Yeah.
She kept trying to remind her she's not a guy, but
that whole character arc is kind of weird because she, they Seinfeld brings her up, or Seinfeld's character brings her up, and Mr. Kellogg is like, no, we can't use him, and then you get there and it's Stan is Melissa McCarthy, obviously a girl, and she's working for NASA,
short for Stanisky or some Stanisky, and they shorten it to Stan, I think.
And she's working for NASA, and she's working on those foods or whatever, and she hands Jerry a glass, and he goes, oh, that tastes pretty good. It's kind of got a tang to it. And it's like, oh,
that's
God.
That's a good name for it, tang.
What a joke,
Yeah.
He drives up in a moon rover.
Yeah.
I can't believe they just leave the keys in these things.
Yeah.
She just leaves with him and goes back to work for Kellogg, who she doesn't want to work for. And then she hires all these guys that have nothing to do with food whatsoever. It's like she's the worst scientist of all time, who just keeps falling into this good stuff.
When he's taking he's taking all the Carvel Cookie Puss cakes out to the dumpster and all that stuff on, he's had enough and he's taking it all out there to dump it in. Those kids are just cracking me up.
Yeah, no, the kids I think stole the show on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt.
Especially that little girl.
Oh, that little girl was So funny. And I think it was both of them's first movie. It was like introducing whatever their names
Yeah.
were. Yeah.
Well, she was
Yeah.
awesome. She was just awesome.
And
Yeah.
just deadpanned everything. And again, the two smartest characters in the whole freaking movie.
Yeah. Well, they were the ones coming up with everything.
Yep.
Up all the treats and snacks and stuff.
Yeah. Seinfeld's going to dump all this. He gets the idea for how Pop-Tart should be made by taking all the different parts, and they end up with the rectangle with the little holes in it and that kind of stuff. But the kids are mixing Rice Krispies and marshmallows together.
Yeah.
It's like that'll never work. That'll taste terrible. No, try it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So we created Rice Krispie treats, and
That was the dumpster scenes.
all the kids in the dumpster. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot of depth into this movie. I mean, we've kind of covered all the characters already. It's not.
It's sort of like if you've ever seen that movie, It's a Mad World.
Yes.
It's just that kind of silliness and craziness, all thrown together. And if you've got an hour and a half to fill and you don't feel like watching anything too downbeat or it's a good little movie to watch. I think
it's silly. It's I appreciated the fact that it was very. It was Mel Brooks-esque.
Yeah.
I tried to watch History of the World Part 2. Mel Brooks is maybe my favorite. Him and Robin Williams, my two favorite comedians of all time. And those Mel Brooks movies hold a special place in my heart. If you listen back to this podcast, Dan and I talk about Spaceballs. We talk about Blazing Saddles. We'll probably talk about Robin Hood Men in Tights at some point. We may cover the producers. I mean, it was just Young Frankenstein we have not done, and I don't know why. Maybe we'll save that for Halloween. But Mel Brooks was just a comedy genius. History of the World Part 2, he's kind of neutered himself, and it kind of shows where comedy is gone. But this, to me, was Mel Brooks-esque without being too bad.
Yeah.
Well, what's nice about it too is that almost all the writers on here and all the producers have worked together before on Seinfeld and all the other ones. So they kind of like brought themselves all back together to make another,
Cool.
So that made it nice too, I think, because they're used to each other and they each play off of each other. At some point, they've all acted together or they've written together or they've produced together. So all of them are back together doing this. So I thought that made it kind of nice too, because, your team is back, who you're working with, you know how to play off of each other. I think that made it nice too.
Who's the guy that does Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Larry David.
Yeah. Did he work on it? Because him and Seinfeld.
I don't think so. I don't think he worked.
No,
It didn't have that Larry. It didn't have the Larry David type comedy in it.
Yeah.
That's more Seinfeld.
Yeah, you had Spike Fresner. Fresner, is that how you say it?
No.
Fersten.
Fresner.
He was on it. Andy Robin, Barry Mardar, I think is how you say it. And Jerry Seinfeld all wrote it. Your cinematographer was Bill Pope. Your music was done by Christopher Beck.
It seemed to be a topic that begged to be parodied. So
yeah,
it's too late for its time, I believe.
Yeah,
to
some extent.
I mean, it is funny, but it's a throwback to how, like you said, some of those Mel Brooks comedies. I mean, Mel Brooks, take Blazing Saddles. He went from cowboys punching horses out at the beginning to a whole musical number at the end. It was just set piece after set piece after set piece.
I kept waiting for a musical number to break out into this one.
Yeah.
I thought surely Kate McKinnon or somebody would show up and do a musical number. It just felt like that. Or Tina Fey.
Yeah.
Somebody like that would show up and do a musical number. But
Yeah.
it never happened. So probably because Seinfeld can't sing. Or McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
Schumer may be able to. I don't know.
I think she does pretty decent.
Armistead can. He's done a couple of musical things on SNL. So
Yeah.
And that's, a lot of them have worked for David Letterman and all that. So
yeah, that's the kind of feel it's got to it too. Very Letterman.
yeah.
If you've ever seen Cabin Boy that he did, back in the day, David Letterman did that. I think
Chris Elliott.
Yeah, with Chris Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same kind of humor.
Yeah. I just thought it was really cool. So, at certain aspects. Now, if I would not go to a movie theater to see this movie.
No, absolutely not. I'd be mad if I had paid $12 or however much it is.
Yes.
And I'm not a Seinfeld fan. I don't like the show. I don't. There's segments of it that are funny, but to me, a show about nothing just means nothing. That's a lot of those 90s comedies, that and Friends, and just don't do a lot for me.
I was a Seinfeld fan. I was not a fan of much anything else on TV back then, but I did watch Seinfeld every week.
Yeah, Zach's a big fan too. So it doesn't, some of the iconic episodes, the Soup Nazi and George trying to go to work for the Yankees, and some of them were very funny, but most of them just didn't hold a lot for me. So
right.
Like Cosmo. Cosmo was probably my favorite character. I don't know. I don't know where to go with this.
I figured we wouldn't have a whole lot to say about it. It's not a deep movie that you can dig deep into.
Not deep at all. And again, it was, we might get some Razzies for acting. It's weird because it wasn't terribly acted, but you don't know. Well, you don't know if it's not well acted or if the characters are not supposed to be well acted. It's kind of one of those weird movies. Well,
a lot of stand-up comedians can't act. Like Melissa McCarthy. She's a comedic actress.
Yes.
It's like Jim Carrey is a comedic actor. He's an actor who happens to be really good, funny and good at being funny. But most stand-up comedians have a hard time with it, I think, acting. So that's probably why.
Well, not to put on that hat, but I actually think it's a stand-up versus improv. Melissa McCarthy's done improv, and I think that gives you that lens to acting more than stand-up does.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, we have quite a few stand-ups at the Idiot Box that can't act. We've tried to use a couple in some movies, and they're not very good actors, because they don't have the. You can have a personality, but you just don't have the connection to the crowd.
Yeah.
Where I think improvers and sketch comedians, even more so, kind of get it, and they know they have to perform it.
Yeah. Well, it's two different things. It's two different.
Oh yeah.
Two different disciplines, two different.
Definitely. Which I don't know, and Lord knows, I've said it for a while now. Comedy is hard as hell right now. Everybody's so handcuffed and so can't. You can't do anything to offend anybody unless you're on a small club circuit. And then I don't know.
Fun of it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. What?
Oh, I said it takes away from the fun of it because somebody's going to get offended, but they're missing it as a general thing. It's supposed to be funny. Laughter is the best medicine, people.
Comedy should not have any. You
Boundaries.
should be able to, you should be able to talk about anything in comedy because
So
there's humor in everything, even the worst things. You can find something,
Yeah.
something light and something funny about.
Jenny had a food truck at the next door bottle shop. Well, I'm dropping all the plugs for their comedy stuff. But she had a food truck outside the club and next door bottle shop a couple weeks ago, and then she had an open mic on the patio outside, which is kind of cool. So I went. I wasn't home. I don't remember what was going on. So I went to the club to get dinner and to support everybody a little bit. And I was like, oh well, I'll hang around and watch some of the bits. And I ended up standing at the back with J.D. Etheridge and Zoe Myers and Steve Lesser. And I turned and looked at JD, and JD has won the Ultimate Comic Challenge for Greensboro last year. Very, very funny black comedian who does a lot of across the board making fun of people. Zoe Myers is also a black comedian who is a little more cerebral with his comedy. And then Steve, I think he is maybe the funniest person there. It's smart comedy, and he's a science nerd, so that kind of stuff. So it was the three of us standing there, and I looked at JD and I said, JD, can I ask you something? And he said, sure. And I said, can you explain to me why white people have destroyed comedy? And he just died laughing. And he said, you know what? You ain't far from the truth. He said, we can go out here and make fun of anybody. Y'all can't make fun of nobody. And it's funny. And then you get worried when somebody else makes fun of everybody, and it's even funnier. He said, so you're probably right. White people have ruined comedy. And I said, I'm sorry, JD. And he just died laughing even more. And Steve's just shaking his head going, oh, God, I can't believe I'm part of this conversation. So, this was a movie that didn't offend anybody or make fun of anybody, but it was also kind of funny. They did the sketches. It's a bunch of sketches piled together. But they also didn't necessarily worry about, were they making fun, with the Melissa McCarthy, your guy thing? Was it about her name or about her look, or, were they kind of skirting the issue there? But they didn't take pot shots at anybody. They just told some solid jokes.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's a good hour and a half time waster if you've got Netflix and you got nothing to do on a Saturday evening, or just hey, it's cool to watch. It's funny.
It's one of those mindless things. You don't have to.
Like Airplane, one of those. It's just.
Yeah, Airplane's another good example. Just a series of sketches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not as funny as Airplane.
No.
So I don't think we're saying it's as funny as Airplane. It may be as funny as Kentucky Fried Movie, because that movie was pretty dumb too. And some of those sketches did not work. But
that don't even sound like something I want to watch. So.
Probably not. It's an old 70s.
Yeah, was it
70s? I like old
70s
and stuff, but
because it was 70s and they had a budget of like $10.
It's so bad.
Yeah,
it's so bad. They had a whole lot more money for this. Just on the freaking sea monkey ravioli, they spent a good little bit in special effects.
Now we should clarify that it's not a ravioli stuffed with sea monkeys. It was a literal genetic cross between sea monkeys and a ravioli from Chef Boyardee that was sentient, to crawl and walk around and skitter around the laboratory and all that kind of stuff. So.
That was growing as it went, just like a boy would.
Yeah.
One of the funniest parts about that we didn't talk about was, and that led to all of this, was they were we were introducing they were introducing us to all these different characters, these taste testers. They weren't even really supposed to work on anything. They were just tasting everything or whatever.
Yeah.
And they get to the sea monkey guy, and he's like, "See," and you just pour them all in here, and somebody goes, "Well, that's just rehydrated shrimp or something like that."
Mhm.
And then Chef Boyardee, you look at Chef Boyardee's just got a packet of them open, and he's just pouring it out his throat, going, "Well, it tastes really good too. This gives me an idea, you know." So that was pretty funny. I don't know that Carvel added much to it, but
He was. If I don't know, you guys remember the commercials for Carvel?
vaguely.
I saw him all the time when I lived in Florida, and he talked like this, and he come down Saturday and get your cookie puss cake. And the thing about all those ice cream cakes is they were all the same shape. They were that bell shape or pear shape, and he just moved ice cream around to make Fudgy the Whale and Cookie Puss and all that. But it was the same cake shape on every one of them. And he talked like he was from "I'm gonna kick your ass," you know, that kind of thing. But it was
Tumble City guy.
it used to be hilarious because he was too cheap to hire somebody to do real voice work for his commercial.
And that was a terrible cake. He made that cake of Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
He was like, "Is that me?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got your nose right.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that was actually to Jerry's credit. He kind of played the straight man for a lot of those.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, instead of telling one-off jokes like he's
Mhm.
normally known for,
Yeah.
he was kind of the straight man for everybody else to goof off of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the mysterious love affair between Miss Post and Mr. Kellogg.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah.
You look like you're infatuated with him. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I don't know where you get that idea from.
But they
Especially
show
when
up
they're watching each other through the binoculars and they see
Yeah.
each other look down. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, with Mr. Kellogg, that would be creepy. With her, it would be watching somebody with binoculars. I don't know.
Either way, it was kind of creepy.
Valid.
The idea that they're spying on each other, not really at first, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the scenes that I thought was subtly funny was the scene where they decide they're going to go get ice cream. They're going to go get cereal for lunch, and they go into the cafeteria, and it's this slow motion thing of Melissa McCarthy and Jim Gaffigan and Jerry Seinfeld walking up to that giant twisting thing that all the different
the cereals in it,
all the different cereals in them. And the joke where they're talking about where they have the meeting of the cereal kings, including the Quaker Oats man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
looked like an actual Quaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've lost the we're tired of getting the cartoons about religious characters. I'll take those.
Yeah.
And they're boring. I'll take that one. There's a suggestion that they should all collaborate together and everybody just do their own version. And Amy Schumer's like, no. And they're like, well, it worked for Raisin Bran, which was just a little one-off joke. And I went, oh, everybody has done their own version of Raisin Bran. That's kind of funny.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was mindless and it was fun. And I would not have watched it if Chad hadn't suggested it for the podcast.
I didn't plan on watching it. I just said, well, I was at work and I can watch it while I'm at work, you know, or something. And that's what I did. And it was like, hey, this is kind of funny.
We needed a good comedy. So, I don't. Have we missed anything?
We've probably told every joke in the movie during the
podcast. We've probably spoiled all of them. It's just we're all Stuart Smiley going. No, it's not Stuart Smiley. What was Chris Farley's character in SNL?
Which one?
Hey,
Yeah.
remember when
Oh yeah.
remember when they told that
When he was
joke
talking
about
to Paul McCartney.
yeah. Remember when they told that joke about
He was playing himself. It was actually called the Chris Farley Show on there.
oh yeah, okay. Remember when they told the joke
Remember
about
when
Ray
you guys wrote Penny Lane? Remember that? That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Mhm.
It was cool. So I don't I mean Kellogg's wins.
Yeah.
The Post went with country squares for about a year or two, and then changed them to toast them up,
Coastums or something like that.
They're still on the shelves.
But I remember when they came out, they were first. I was a little kid. Country squares. I remember my grandmother had them, but
I don't ever remember having Pop Tarts as a kid. I always ate cereal. My granny, Cheerios was it. She lived and died by Cheerios. So I had Cheerios a lot, which means
We
I
had
don't like Cheerios as good now.
man, Captain Crunch Berries was my all-time favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I wasn't a big Captain Crunch fan.
shredded the inside of my mouth like I was eating razor blades. But
As a kid, I liked Sugar Smacks, which I don't know. Did you see
Oh,
that
those
shit
are good.
they
with
call
the
them
frog mascot?
Dig 'em Smacks
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Dig 'em the frog.
Yep. I didn't see him. That would have been a fun little surprise to see him in the. And the meeting when they're doing the meeting of all the kings and the Keebler elf brings them fudge stripes.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes.
Melissa McCarthy's just marveling with it.
Mhm.
They put chocolate over a cookie. Who would have thought of that?
That was good.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So, all right. We've told all the jokes in the movie. So,
Yeah, we've run it in the ground.
Yep, we've kind of done it in. So,
If
I
you watch
don't-
the movie for anything, just watch it for the bloopers.
yeah.
I recommend it. I recommend it as a funny little movie.
Right, but I'm just saying,
Lil-
make sure you wait until the end for the bloopers because the bloopers
Yeah, you
are
gotta
really
watch. Mhm.
Lil would hate it.
yes.
Yeah, she'd think it's stupid.
Yep.
Yeah.
My wife would hate this. Yep.
Yeah, she would.
Stupid. Why are y'all watching this? It's dumb. Sometimes dumb is funny.
Maybe we're dumb.
Hey.
Wait, that didn't sound right.
Hey.
I thought you were going to say maybe you're dumb.
Hey.
All right. So,
I'm not
sis,
arguing with you.
would you recommend this?
If you just have nothing else to do, yes. Otherwise, no.
So you didn't like it as good as me.
You
Chad.
guys act like, oh my God, I have nothing to do now. I gotta watch Unfrosted.
Listen,
There's
I don't watch-
absolutely
I was
nothing
not
else.
looking forward to
I'm not
it.
a TV watcher anyway, so you guys always have to. Well, there's some things I'll suggest, but very few of what I've suggested. You guys are like, oh God.
I mean,
But-
you've done some pretty good. Worth the Crawdad scene was good.
Yeah,
that was
no,
good.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it. Like, I'm not a TV watcher, so you guys always normally have to be the ones to suggest it before I watch it because I don't. Otherwise, I'm too busy. I'm a busybody. I got things to do. I don't like to sit still.
I'm going to surprise her when she picks Pure Country, and I'm going to be like, I like that movie.
Oh, is that?
George
Go
Strait.
straight.
Yeah.
Listen, I know what Pure Country is. I know that one.
That's what I thought.
Or the hottest little whorehouse in Texas. I know that one too.
Oh, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas would be a good one to
I don't know. Sis is talking about the sequel, The Hottest Little Whorehouse. And
do.
Listen, don't be telling my secrets, damn it.
Listen.
Listen.
I am-
listen, Linda, listen.
I'm somewhere in between Chad and Sis. I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I didn't probably laugh out loud. I chuckled a couple of times. But again, it's hard to do comedy anymore. So, bravo for pulling off something that made me chuckle a couple times. And it's
Well,
kind of like, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you didn't laugh at that explosion scene, there was
Yeah.
something wrong
Right.
with you.
That was funny.
I was crying at that.
With the
I was
toaster.
crying, and then the funeral after.
Yes, if you
it was
didn't laugh
just
at
too
those
much.
two things,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
there. But those were the two best parts, I think, of the movie.
I mean, I can agree. It's again, I don't like hardly any of those comedians, and I enjoyed the movie. So, yay, a solid half a thumb up.
How do you do that?
I don't know, severed it or something. All right, so
Wait, I have a half a thumb. What am I talking about?
let's wrap it up, and let's start with Sis, who has nothing to talk about. So, do you want to give any information out about anything?
Tell them about your garden.
Yes, your flowers are looking gorgeous.
Oh, I finally got a garden going this year. I'm excited. They're like growing like big time and growing faster than I thought they would.
And has some of the best eggs around.
Oh yeah, I got eggs too. Yep, all my chickens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, they're daddy's chickens, but you know, I kind of inherited.
I mean, daddy's chickens, your chickens, as long as he's staying there, right?
Yeah.
And
So I
you
got
feed them
chickens. We got all sorts of stuff going on around here.
It's Dr. Doolittle's house.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Chad, what you got anything you want to plug? You want to talk about your art, or plug Gruesome? Or
Well, you're doing it for me.
oh, well, I just mentioned them. I don't
Forget about it.
forget about it.
Yeah, look me up on Gruesome Magazine. I do horror movie podcast there, all different types of by decade. So if you like 70s, we got you. 80s, we got you, and anything beyond that, we got you too. And it's at gruesomemagazine.com. I'm on Instagram as chatty_baby, chatty baby.
Chatty baby.
Yeah, and Facebook's Chad Hunt, and check out some of my art on there. And because I used to draw comic books.
He's a very good artist.
Yeah,
It's how we met.
and I don't charge as much as other artists do for meet and greets.
Oh.
Dan set the price point on that.
$30, Chad Hunt.
$30, Chad Hunt.
$30.
People were walking up going, $30 for the whole dude? I mean, you get to take home the whole dude for $30?
Tom offered 25 and we wouldn't take him.
No, I wasn't going, especially with Tom. Who knows what kind of freaky crap he's got.
Okay, so let me tell this story real quick. Tom and I did a movie in Las Vegas together called Skate to Hell. Sean Phillips, I worked with him last year on a movie called Desert Fiends that's not come out yet. He takes a long time to finish his stuff. Supposedly next month it's going to go in front of some distributors and may get picked up. With the cast that's in it, it should. I got to work with Scout Taylor Compton, act with her for a scene in that movie. This movie, Skate to Hell, Tom has a pretty good part in it, and I have a 2-day part and get a death and everything. But I got to work with Robert Carradine from Revenge of the Nerds, and I played the Devil's Jester. And he's kind of like this creepy guy. Anyway, so Tom and I found ourselves in Vegas at the same time. And he's probably going to kill me if I tell this story. But so we invited his wife, Denise. Her parents live out there in Boulder City. So we invited all of them over for lunch. We took them to Gordon Ramsay Burger there in Planet Hollywood. Doesn't cost us anything because my wife likes to gamble. And then they were going to hang around for a little bit. And no, maybe it was a couple of days later they came back and they were going to gamble with us and just hang out. And Denise and her parents got done fairly early, and they left Tom there, and he was just going to take an Uber back, and he hung out with me for the day. And at some point, he turned and looked at me, and he said, "I just want to thank you." And I said, "What?" And he said, "I don't ever get to just hang out with a friend and just not have to talk movies," which, I mean, he does the most of the bringing up, but he seems so genuine and so nice and so appreciative. And I was like, "Oh, this is a side of Tom I don't know that I've seen." And it was pretty nice. It was kind of cool just to hang out. And we didn't talk movies. We sit there and played 3-card poker and blackjack a little bit. And I taught him blackjack strategies, and he won a little bit of money, and it was a good time. So
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Tom, we give Tom a lot of crap, but he is genuinely a good guy. So we had fun. Okay, so there's my Tom story.
We give him crap because we love.
So check
Where
out
can we
Sean.
find you?
Check out Sean Phillips' 2 movies, Desert Fiends and Skate to Hell. Let me give him a little plug. And you can find me on all the social medias at Sammie Castle. I don't change nothing. It's just what it is. You can find all of our stuff at wreakhavocproductions.com or the Carolina Haints, which the podcast is wrapped up now, but it sounds like we may be working on a second book, or they're working on a second book. It sounds like Jeff is getting back into Seer of Souls, so check out that Facebook stuff. And I haven't talked about it a lot and can't talk about it a whole lot, but I have been working on a Stars TV show 5 days now. I'm going back Thursday to do a pretty big scene with all the main characters, including Dermot Mulroney and Brittany Snow from Pitch Perfect and Malin Ackerman. And that's been a pretty interesting time and a pretty fun time. So I got Dermot Mulroney to look at me and go, "Hey, you guys, have you seen the size of that chicken?" And I just died laughing. So that was
Young Guns.
Yep, from Young Guns, which we haven't covered that on the podcast. We need to either that or American Outlaws. We hadn't done a Western. So anyway, Silverado, that's another good one. Oh, we did Tombstone.
Did that already?
Yep, that's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. So I don't think Dan was as big a fan, but I don't care.
What does he know? He's not even on the podcast anymore.
I know. He suggested Swiss Army Man. I suggested Tombstone. You tell me which one's better.
I'll take Tombstone any day.
Yeah.
Over that.
Oh, you made me watch Mandy. God. Oh, I hated that movie. Anyway, so yeah, all our stuff's at wreakhavocproductions.com. So good night, y'all. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to get back together.
Sayonara, suckers.
Have a good night, everyone.